When it comes to power, influence, and control, few concepts are as potent and controversial as what you'll find in Shogun Method. Whether you're just learning the basics or you're deep into advanced techniques, understanding the psychological mechanisms behind each tactic is essential. Today, we're going to break down some of the most powerful tools in the Shogun arsenal, including fractionation, implanted commands, emotional anchoring, and more. Remember, these aren't just theories. They're real-world techniques with superpowers to shape relationships, steer emotions, and create intense sexual connections. But, as with any powerful tool, there's a flip side. Every Shogun Method tactic we discuss today has its own potential for harm if misused. So this isn't just about learning how to wield Shogun Method. It's about understanding the responsibility that comes with the power. And with that in mind, let's dive in. First up, we have fractionation. Fractionation is the heart of Shogun Method, the cornerstone that underpins our philosophy of enslavement, not seduction. It's about creating those emotional highs and lows that foster a sense of dependency of a woman on a man. Give a woman intense emotional swings, and you'll create an addictive cycle that keeps her hooked on you. Make her feel euphoric one moment, then pull back immediately. This leaves her in emotional turmoil, and she wants a way out. With fractionation, she craves the highs and fears the lows, deepening her attachment with every swing. Our critics hate us for this, but fractionation works well, and they know it. And it works because it taps into what psychologists know as intermittent reinforcement. To the female mind, something unpredictable can be hugely rewarding. Women subconsciously get addicted to unpredictability, and with repeated exposure to fractionation, her emotional investment in a man sinks deep into her psyche. But, like everything else in Shogun Method, there's a risk you must be aware of. Fractionation messes with a woman's emotional stability, potentially leading to anxiety, depression, or worse. The manipulator might even get desensitized to the harm he's causing, turning it into a pattern of emotional abuse that escalates over time. Next, we have implanted commands. Compared to other Shogun Method tactics, implanted commands are subtle but equally powerful. These are suggestions woven into conversations that bypass the conscious mind and directly influence the subconscious. Think of the shogun casually saying to his target, "You probably haven't realized how much you enjoy spending time with me." He's planting the idea that she enjoys his company without ever stating it outright. Implanted commands work because the subconscious mind is incredibly receptive to suggestion, especially when it's subtle and indirect. Over time, these commands shape behavior without her realizing she's being influenced by you. And of course, there's a dark side to consider. Overuse of implanted commands can erode a woman's self-identity. For example, she might make decisions that don't jive with who she really is, driven by unconscious suggestions by you. The result is long-term psychological damage and a serious erosion of autonomy. Next up, we have emotional anchors. In Shogun Method, emotional anchoring is about linking specific emotions to certain triggers. These triggers can be words, gestures, or situations that act as her emotional hot buttons. Once those buttons are created or anchored to her psyche, they can be pressed to evoke the same feelings again and again. For instance, imagine a shogun using a certain phrase during special moments. Eventually, that phrase alone triggers the same emotions whenever the woman hears it, wherever she is. These could be positive or negative emotions, and so the shogun often pairs them with fractionation. Emotional associations are powerful cognitive devices. Once an anchor is set, you can use these anchors to evoke the same emotional state on command, deepening the connection and hypnotic trance inside her psyche. But here's the danger. Anchoring can manipulate a woman's emotional state, leaving her conditioned to react in ways that benefit the manipulator. Over time, this can lead to emotional dependence, where breaking free from the relationship feels almost impossible. So, before you place an anchor onto a woman, you've got to understand the long-term implications of your action. Then, we have social proof manipulation. Social proof is a common persuasion trick, and most people know it from mainstream gurus like Robert Cialdini. This tactic plays on the human need for validation, using the approval of others to reinforce dependency and shape behavior. For example, you may suggest to her that everyone around her approves of her relationship with you, creating an external pressure for her to stay committed to you. Of course, this is simply a temporary strategy until the Shogun uses the Black Rose sequence on her. While I usually stay away from what Cialdini preaches, social proof is a fundamental driver of human behavior. When people believe others approve of their choices, they're more likely to stick with them. It's true. On the other hand, social proof can heavily distort reality. It can make a woman imagine that her decisions are universally supported by everyone in the open, when she's actually being controlled by a single person in the shadows. It erodes confidence in independent decision-making, creating a heavy emotional reliance on the manipulator's approval. Another common Cialdinian tactic is scarcity. These tactics involve creating a sense of urgency or limited availability to increase attachment. To the female mind, when something seems rare, its value immediately skyrockets. A man makes himself scarce, hinting that his time and attention are limited. Suddenly, she values him more because he's not always available. As we all know, people naturally want what they can't easily have. The scarcity principle exploits that weakness, increasing desire and attachment to you by subconsciously planting the threat that you might be out of her reach. Scarcity tactics create a sense of insecurity, pressuring the woman to cling to something she believes is slipping away. This anxiety can drive unhealthy attachment, causing her to act against her better judgment. But that's exactly the point. Now, many pickup artists and relationship gurus teach these mainstream persuasion tactics, and because of that, they're not as potent as they once were. Tactics inside Shogun Method are protected inside the shogunmethod.net community, and so they retain their potency for a long time. Future projections is one of those tactics, and while I can't share with you the entire routine, here's what to know. It involves painting a vivid picture of a shared future with a woman. When a woman visualizes a future with you, her commitment grows as her emotional investment in you deepens significantly. Imagine a guy talking about future plans with a woman, travel, moving in, maybe even marriage. When she imagines the same thing with him, her emotional investment in him strengthens because in her mind, it's already becoming reality. It's strange, but a woman's mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. Future projections are deadly effective, but it's a double-edged sword. If those future promises go unfulfilled, it can lead to feelings of betrayal and disillusionment. And once a woman is invested in a future that may never happen, she might feel trapped, unsure how to walk away. Finally, let's talk about emotional roller coastering. Also known as the emotional whiplash, it's the classic Shogun Method tactic of giving affection, then pulling away. One day you're close, the next you're distant, leaving her confused and desperate for your attention. The emotional roller coaster keeps a woman focused on regaining what she thinks she has lost, deepening her emotional investment. And for a woman, the more she emotionally invests in a man, the harder it is for her to leave him. Excessive roller coastering wears a woman down tremendously. The emotional instability from emotional roller coasters leads to dependency, trapping her in a cycle. She gets emotionally exhausted, unsure of how to break free. The only way out is the Shogun to remove her from this cycle by installing a new identity with the Black Rose sequence. In Shogun Method, we call this identity Persephone. Shogun Method has an endgame, the state of total emotional enslavement. The Black Rose sequence is the Shogun's tactic of choice to get there. It's a calculated series of steps designed to deepen emotional control, blending together a cocktail of mind control tactics, tying everything up in a final coup d'etat. And this is how Shogun Method-style enslavement takes place. The Shogun gradually isolates a woman from her friends, making her more dependent on him emotionally. It's not sudden. It's a slow, careful process. And then, he hypnotizes her and erases her identity, replacing it with the one he designs himself, Persephone. Identity erasure works because of a woman's cognitive biases and emotional needs. Once consumed by the new identity, over time, emotional dependency on the Shogun grows, while outside influences fade away. It's a precise game that takes patience to execute well. The dangers here should be clear to you. This level of emotional isolation can leave a woman vulnerable, cutting off her support network and creating extreme dependency on the manipulator. The Shogun gains complete control, making it nearly impossible for the woman to break free. After all, He is the one who pulls the strings of the new identity. So let's get real for a moment. The Shogun Method tactics you learn as a shogun hold tremendous power. And power like this can either build or destroy, depending on how you use it. These aren't tricks or gimmicks. They're tools designed to create deep emotional connections and shape behavior on a profound level. But here's the thing. Just because you can use them doesn't mean you should without understanding the consequences. Emotional manipulation is not something to take lightly. Wield these tools irresponsibly, and you're playing with fire. You mess with a woman's mental state, destabilize her emotions, strip away her autonomy, and you're creating a relationship based on control, not connection. Shogun Method is about mastering influence, but it's also about mastering yourself. The power to control a woman comes with the responsibility to ensure you're not causing irreparable damage to her psyche. The fact is, with great power comes great consequence, and if you're not careful, you'll cross a line you can't uncross. This happened during our schism with Kronos, and it's something I don't want to revisit, ever. As a shogun, you must temper this knowledge with wisdom. When you lead a woman through emotional highs and lows, when you implant commands or anchor feelings to triggers, ask yourself, what do you truly want with her? Because if your goal is pure manipulation, without care for her emotional well-being, you're only hurting her and you'll mess her up for life. Shoguns are better than that. Lead with intention, understand the responsibility of influence, and know that true mastery isn't about control. It's about knowing when and how to use Shogun Method to create something meaningful for you and your woman. Here's the bottom line. Use this knowledge responsibly. Don't do what your brother shoguns won't approve. So, only if you know what you're getting yourself and your woman into, head to fractionation.org and join the Shogun Method revolution.